So, the pig, if we look at that and us, they're so similar that if we watch the pig, they're meat eaters. We look at the creatures, the other humans on the earth that have no disease, they're raw meat eaters. So that pretty much makes a good statement about what we should be doing. So with that information, if you eat raw meat, any kind of meat, if you eat raw meat and you get better, isn't that a sign that's what you should be eating? If dairy makes you healthier, isn't that what you should be eating? Take a look at all the vegetarians. I know 3,200 vegetarians. I would say 8 of them were healthy. 8 of them were healthy I could consider healthy. 8. And that's it. On a physical level, skin, anatomy, everything, on all levels, only 8. 7 of them were men. 1 was a woman. And then she started disintegrating in her late 30s. Her spine started dissolving. One of the elderly men that had been a hygienist, a raw food fruitarian, vegetarian, for 52 years, his spine started deteriorating at about 76 years old. Guess what diet he started doing? He started eating raw meat to reverse it, and eating raw dairy. In the closet, not telling anybody. But he used to come and heckle me when I would give lectures like this at conventions, at health conventions. He used to, he'd stand up and he was well built, a lot like most vegetarians, good muscle tone. Of course, he worked out 5 hours a day. On that much sugar and fruit, you better burn it on something. And he would work out like crazy. I mean, he'd get up at 5 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning and work out for 5 hours. Stuff himself with all the sugar, all the fruit. But it didn't deteriorate him like it does most people. Most people would demineralize the system. But it didn't for him until he got into his 70s. And then he started doing my diet. His assistant told me in private. So I can't say his name, because then I'll get back to him, who told him. So anyway, he's been doing that for 2 years now in the closet. He still tells people only do fruits and vegetables, raw fruits and vegetables. So that's the way it goes. So I have not known any vegetarian who does well either raw food or cooked. They have cravings that are unbelievable. Nothing ever satisfies their hunger, and they do things that they're not supposed to on their diet. And they'll eat cheeses galore, even processed cheeses. They just can't help themselves. So that's more proof that a vegetarian diet isn't good for 90%, 95% of the human race. So if 5% or less can do it, that doesn't mean the rest of all of us should do that. It didn't work for me. It doesn't work for 3,200 people minus the 8 that I know that, could do that. And then 2 of them didn't do well in their later years. I just got word from a whole network who's close to David Wolf, who's now into his 8th year. He's been 7.5 years as a vegetarian fruitarian. And he's all out there and he takes all the superfood because he can never be satisfied. He has to get this cocoa bean and all this stuff with the theobromine and caffeine because these vegetarians and fruitarians don't have any energy. So he's drugging them just like the food industry is drugging us with caffeine and soda and coffee and tea and all of that to give us energy. Shouldn't be that way. Look at your farmers and people who live outdoors in these tribes. I mean, they hunt, they climb trees, all day long they're working and physically active. And here we've got these people that can barely move, can barely lift anything. When I was a child, at my grandparents' farm, I watched the farmhands take 90-pound bales of hay. And we're talking as long as these 2 tables put together and deep, and throw them up 15 feet into a loft. How is it done now? I've been on the farms. They'll take 30-pound bales and they forklift them up. And you see these guys throwing them off the truck sometimes, and they can throw them down, but when it comes to throwing it up on a truck, it's very strenuous. And this is a third the weight. They should be healthier. They should be stronger if our science is working for us. But we're not. We're getting sick. We have all these vaccines that weaken the whole entire upper body of all of these problems. So all of this stuff affects us, whether we eat, whether we take medication in, an injection, dietarily, or whatever. All of these bacteria are your friends.